Tell us why you think voters need to cast a ballot in this election. What are you going to do to promote this?
Well, I'm going to do the exact same thing I've done every election. That's get to the doors, go door to door, talk to people on their turf, and that gives me an opportunity to hear what I need to be doing for the next 3 years. And it's a formula that's worked for me in the past, and I'll continue to do that. Because when I talk to people and hear what they really want to see done in the municipality, that forms what I'll stand up for in the next term of council. And I'm also trying to get into the electronic world too. I got www.sheldongermain.com with my full platform. I do mail out a brochure to try to inform people of what they should do or what they should consider when they get out and vote. And I have a Facebook page and a Twitter account. So I'm doing all I can to let people know that it's really important that they cast their vote. And for a family-friendly Fort McMurray, it's very important they vote for Sheldon Germain.
Thanks, Sheldon. Sheldon, the region's budget last year was $700 million. What experience do you have in the development and stewardship of a strategic fiscal plan?
Since being on council in 1998, I've always promoted a strategic planning and business planning approach. This last term of office, I stood up many times and said we need to get back to a strategic plan that is outcome-based, that clearly articulates what the municipal administration need to do for the next year. So with strategic planning and business planning, with a budget process that has public consultation processes, we'll make sure that we're using taxpayers' hard-earned money to serve them better. And my background is I have a business mind, a business sense, I have accounting training, and I've always have a track record of looking for ways to be creative to save taxpayers' money.
Our third question, what do you think makes an effective councillor?
To be an effective councillor, you have to be prepared to listen to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points of view and listen to them, put them through critical thinking processes, review what you want to see in terms of a vision for our community, and then make your decision on each one as an independent councillor. I think one of the things that has made me effective in the past and will make me effective in the future is the fact that I get out and communicate and listen with the public, make sure they know, I know what they want to see in the community. I think back to 2002 and 2003 when people were saying we need a multi-use rec center. And afterwards, I made sure that I pushed and continued to push until that we had cornerstone facilities such as Mac Island. And I'll continue to work in the future for facilities like the Northside Rec Center or convention centers. Effectiveness as a councillor means having the ability to take what you hear and turn it into results. And that's been my track record, and I can stand up to that track record.
Our fourth question. Describe how becoming a councillor has and or will fit into and alter your current life schedule.
I've been serving on council since 1998, and I've put this community is in my heart every single day. My first priority is I'm a school teacher, and I work for the community's kids, and I make sure that they have an opportunity to live in a community they're proud to call home. My attendance record at council has been phenomenal. The fact that I read, review, research all information before it comes to me it has shown through with decisions I've made. I've had the ability to see what's the next thing on council's plate and research it and be ready. For example, I knew and I looked at and I saw the writing on the wall that we were going to have a space crunch. And I started to propose solutions before it became a crunch. That proactive thinking, research has always helped. In terms of my life schedule, I've proven I can do it before. I will do it again. I do not attend as many public social events as other councillors because I do have a small family. But I do attend everything that requires a decision to be made. I'm there. And I think people respect the fact that I put my family at a high priority, and I know residents in this community put their families at high priorities.
Thanks, Sheldon. Talk about social responsibility and economic sustainability and how you see it impacting this community.
First, in terms of my track record and social responsibility and economic, was the idea of economic diversity has always been critical to me. I proposed through the municipality to get an economic development wing in our municipality. And at the time, a lot of people said, Sheldon, you're crazy. We have more economic development than we know what to do with. But we need diversity in that economic development because that's contingent in terms of what people in this community see as important for their quality of life. Also, we have a social responsibility as community leaders to stand up for some of the issues that aren't directly municipal issues, but are community issues. For example, the airport. For example, making sure that we defend our industry and stand with our industry and say we are doing good things to make sure that not just Fort McMurray is economically viable, but all of Canada. In terms of economic sustainability, I believe that we should budget to ensure that we have an ability to provide a stable tax rate and make sure that we are able to provide some of the services that help the more needy in our community. Sometimes the mark of a good community is how we look after our less fortunate and how we look after the services that can't be provided from other sources. And our track record and my track record has been standing up for people that are less fortunate, and I'll continue to do that.
Thank you, Sheldon. What needs do you think the outlying communities have, and how do they fit into the priorities of the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo?
Excellent question. We got to remember we are a region, and so much is focused sometimes just on Fort McMurray. I was pleased that we pursued the core service standard review for the rural areas to say, okay, community people in Conklin and Anzac and Johnville, what services do you want to see for a community of your size? And then let's create a prioritization and fit them into our budget cycle. I think that was a great step forward. For the city of Fort McMurray, we also need to get to service level budgeting, which says, here's the service that the community wants, here is our budget, can we provide that service? Those create an equalization and a sense of fairness for the region as a whole. And we need to continue to push that concept that we are a region. When elected as a Ward 1 councillor, you are still required to review and research rural issues just as much as you are urban issues. And in terms of providing recreation and fire protection and safety and water services to rural areas, we've made strides forward. There's no reason why someone in our rural areas should not receive the same quality services that our urban service area residents do.
Thank you. The seventh question, in what ways are you attached to this community and region? How will this serve you in your role as a councillor?
I can't picture myself living anywhere else. I love Fort McMurray. I've lived here my whole life. I grew up here. My family has instilled in me that we do things for others, that if you have abilities and skills, you use those to serve people. And that in 1998, when I first ran for council, was why I ran. I felt that I had a social obligation to contribute to this community. And really now what I've done in the last few terms is stand up for how great this community is. Bring in some cornerstone facilities like McDonald Island and look for opportunities for all residents to be proud to call Fort McMurray home. I'm going to live here, I'm going to raise my family here, and I know there's a lot of residents out there that love this community as much as I do, and this is a great place to raise a family. And this link into families is what impacts how I vote and how I make choices on budget for the community.
Thank you. There may be times as a council member when you do not personally support a decision made by council. Tell us about a specific experience when you did not agree with the decision, but you worked with a team to implement it.
Very good question. I've had some experiences with this. When I look at something like the brick warehouse when it came forward, I looked at it and said, this thing doesn't make sense. I voted against the brick warehouse and wasting taxpayers' money on leases and improvements to a facility that is totally unusable. But after the vote is done, that's it. It's my responsibility to drop the issue and sit at the sidelines. And I have a track record of doing that. There's also been some concerns when we didn't have strategic planning and we didn't have the governance structure. I had to wait until the municipal leadership brought it forward. On the governance structure issue, and for me, governance is all about listening to the people, putting it through a process, and then making a decision that provides results for the residents. I had to bring up a notice of motion to get council to show leadership to administration and say, this is something that we really need to review. So, but in doing all of that, I have always been respectful. I've always tried to bring it up in private before I bring it public, and sometimes you have to go with the team, and I understand that, and I vote that way. But when there's an issue that is near and dear to my heart that affects residents, I will stand up, and I will vote for what is right from my point of view. And it doesn't mean it's everyone's point of view, and I accept that. And I accept democracy in the sense that we move forward. So there's been lots of examples where I've stood up for the residents, and then when council's made its decision, I've accepted that decision. I haven't always agreed with them, but I've always accepted it and been respectful.
Thanks, Sheldon. Number 9, tell us about a time when you acted as an ambassador for the positive image of this community.
I try every time I go and speak, I talk about how great this community is. And I face people in airports that say they don't like it. I talk to people in Tim Horton lineups that say they're tired of waiting. And even just the other day, we had media from other areas of Alberta and Canada up at Mac Island. And I made sure that I went, because I wanted to make sure that we stressed how positive this community is. Things like, and share our big spirit, and share the fact that we've done great things for this community. The Northern Classic, we're getting ready to start, which is going to be an awesome display of our big spirit. So I've always made sure that I showed that I'm a family-friendly person, I have family values, that I'm choosing to raise my family here, and always, no matter where I am, I tell everyone how great this community is.
Thanks. Last one, question 10. Based on your observations of past council, what would you do differently to improve this council's effectiveness?
Great question. Thank you very much. Basically, you need a strategic plan. You need to be, that has an outcome-based strategic plan with timelines and performance measures. Then you need to be reviewing key indicators from the administration to make sure that they're on track, on time, and on budget. With those key indicators, then, you have a system of governance to manage a successful organization. Remember, the municipality is a corporation, too, that it should be citizen-centered and be able to serve this community. Other things I would make sure that I would do if re-elected, I would continue to request that we do team-building activities. Make sure that ideas are taken as ideas And I do that by modeling. If another council colleague brings forward an idea that I agree with, I'm the first to say that I agree with that idea. It doesn't matter who they are or from what background they are. I make sure that I take ideas, process them, put them through a critical thinking process, and put them into action. Also, I would like to see that we improve our governance structures, and I've been quite vocal in the last term. In terms of our governance, we used to have open public committee meetings that were effective, that moved information through, that allowed council an opportunity to preview them and get input from the public. I'd like to see us return to that sound governance process as we had in the past. Also, the bottom line is respectful treatment. We're all there giving our time. It's a lot of work. The last thing we want to do is come in on a Tuesday night and be belittled or be treated poorly. I think that people that put their name for office and run for council elections takes a lot of courage, and I know each and every time I go through the process, I find it humbling and rewarding. And I will continue to be respectful of other people's ideas. And I will respectfully disagree when I think the community should go a different way. But those key things for me are strategic planning, governance processes, and team building. The same things I've advocated for since getting elected, I will continue to advocate for once elected.
Thank you, Sheldon. Thank you very much for coming and taking the time today.
I just wanted to just thank you as volunteers and as community members for putting yourselves as a community citizens committee. I want to thank the Chamber and its partners for hosting this event. I think it's fantastic. And like I said, I've always felt that the more we can do to engage voters, the better this municipality will be. And the more we access our stakeholders to create partnerships and strategic processes will be only the best for all of us. So I just wanted to thank you, Kim, and the committee for letting me come forward this morning and being videotaped. I mean, it's pretty scary. People have always told me I have more of a face for radio than TV, but I'll see how this YouTube video turns out. And I want to thank the residents and hope that on October 18th they can consider re-electing Sheldon Germain. Thank you.